Wait a second. Your son is 17 in the 7th grade?
Yep, I just got the favorable rulings. And I got the favorable rulings at the end of the year.
Okay, tell me about this ruling. The ruling for what?
So basically, they have been doing stuff since 7th grade. So he had an IEP, right? But he didn't have an IEP. They told me he had an IEP, but come to find out, he didn't have one. It had been expired for some years. So a white kid threw a ball at my son in the 7th grade, and it hit my son upside the head. My son didn't fight him. He just grabbed the white kid's hand. The white kid said his arm was messed up, so the school said that my son has to go over to alternative school for 45 days. This turned into 4 years.
How did it turn into 4 years? I'm familiar with the 45-day interim placement.
So,
how did it turn into 4 years?
After the 45 days, they sent me paperwork saying he can transition back into general education. Actually, they sent an email. So this, I had all the receipts, emails, video conferences. I recorded everything. This is how I got the favorable rulings with the F. So they emailed me and stated that he can, and it was also rolled up in paperwork that he can transition back. However, my son asked, can he stay an extra 2 weeks to finish? They had a cooking course that was going on, a temporary cooking course. So they say yes. However, they never informed me that because he chose to stay, he was considered a stay put, which cleared his transition off the table. So after they pulled this, I went and got a PACER advocate. Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with an advocate, yeah.
Okay, well, PACER. And they're pretty much just like a advocacy group that's a legal entity that, you
right.
know,
I'm familiar.
The court recognizes their word and Department of Education recognizes their word and, you know, whatever the case may be. So they started coming to meetings with me on behalf of my son. They had me to send them his IEP report. IEP, I always say IEP, but IEP report. So when they came to the meeting, they stated, well, why are you refusing to let him go back into general education? They first brought up the stay put thing and how he asked to stay the extra 2 weeks. So the PACER advocate asked the principal, well, did you all explain this to the mother? She stated no. She stated, well, that's illegal. She stated that when I saw the IEP results, he is not anywhere near a level 4. You all have documented him as like a level 1, a high level 1. So, like, no behavior problems, nothing, right? So she stated, well, so can you explain to me why you're not letting him leave? And this is in a room full of staff from this school. And his home school, so he's at an alternative school, but the home school has to show up at the meeting as well, which is a school that the incident happened at. You got me?
Uh-huh. So
everybody's at this meeting or whatever, and the homeschool representative states, because my son can't go back to the general education, and this was her exact words, because he doesn't need to be around normal students. So my advocate asked her, what do you mean by that? She said, well, never mind. So that's when we started the process of, hold on, I had this on. That's when we started the process of filing claims. Well, moving forward, it started getting real bad. So now, after we went to these meetings and stuff and filing claims, November I contacted superintendent. So by this time I didn't contact the superintendent. I'm contacting whoever I can. You know what I mean? I'm advocating for my son. So there was 2 superintendents that came to a sit-down meeting that I asked could I record. This is an hour-and-a-half long meeting. At this time, the superintendent say no, and this is recording. The superintendent states no. Her son has been through enough bias incidents over the past 2.5 years. He needs to be transitioned back into general education. His home school is there at the time as well, staff members. And so they start stating, oh, well, that's no problem. But right now we're remodeling our school. And our students are at another facility. Our whole school is at another facility. So the superintendents are asking, the staff to explain where the school is at and whatever the case may be. So then they throw a curveball and bring up another school. Now, this school, I kept knowing, like, I just started asking questions during this meeting because it just didn't fit right. Something wasn't right, and I knew something wasn't right. So, anyway, I'm telling them no. The curveball that they threw, the school that they kept saying, ECA, which is an early credit, you know what I'm trying to say? Early college academy school.
Uh-huh.
So he's in 9th grade at this time, okay? This is his freshman year, the beginning. So they're trying to send him...
Wait a minute. You just said he's in the 9th grade at this time. So how's he still in the 7th?
Yes. No. So from 7th, I just told you this went on for 4 years. So from 7th to 9th.
Uh-huh.
So when we had to sit down, this is 9th grade year now. We started filing claims with the school. I had paper involved.
Okay, so was he actually in the 9th grade, though?
I'm sorry?
Was he actually in the 9th grade?
What do you mean actually in the 9th grade?
You said this happened his 9th grade year. So you're saying it happened his 9th grade year, but he was still in the 7th. You mentioned 9th grade. Was he ever in the 9th grade class?
2 years now. 2 years has passed. So
okay, but he wasn't in the 9th grade, right?
I'm sorry?
He was not in the 9th grade, though, right?
No, not when the first incident first happened. No, he wasn't in 9th. He was in 7th.
Okay, was he ever in a 9th grade class? Was he ever in a 9th grade class? Ever?
Yes, he was. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's not in the 7th grade now then, right?
No.
I'm confused.
No, he's not in the 7th grade.
Okay, what grade is he in right now? This school year, what grade is your son in?
He hasn't been in school in almost 2 years. So after the meeting in 9th grade, they put my son, the white staff member, put my son in her truck. That's what I'm trying to get to. I've gotten favorable rulings. So then they started doing really like effed up shit to like harm my child. And as recent as they just sent child protection on me. He hasn't been in school since 2020. So I've gotten favorable rulings that they violated so many federal guidelines.
Okay, he hadn't been to school since 2020. He's been home with you since 2020.
They kicked him out during quarantine, which Minnesota Department of Education said that was illegal. They kicked him out. This was an email during quarantine.
Okay.
But right before quarantine, they put him in, the white staff put him in her truck and drove my son off the school property and left him.
Oh, wow. That's a lawsuit there.
They put him in rooms. They put him in a room, no windows, nothing in the room. And admitted to this with Pacer and other staff members and left a man standing outside the door all day. And he was attacked by a white kid. And they stated during the meeting that my son never swung on the kid or anything. All of this was documented. So that's why I brought up the 9th grade, because the superintendent stated, okay, and this was before they put him in the truck. So after the meeting with the superintendent, they did put him in the truck. The superintendent said we need to transition him. They set the bus up for him to start at general education. His first day going back to general education in 9th grade, the white staff put him in our truck and drove him off school property. They then sent me an email stating where we drove him at. Like we told you in the meeting, we had 60 students there and a teacher from our school. However, the principal where they drove him at, the ECA building, was black. She came to my job. She said they're lying to find a lawyer. I have never had any of their students but she said I'm an early college accredited school. Their teacher has never taught at my school. She said they wrote this in an email. I said in a meeting as well. She said, find a lawyer. They're lying to you. To this day, I spoke to her several times. I'm like, are you sure? Because she's like, I've been the dean here for over 10 years. This is my school. I've never had one of their students. So they've been trying to, but it didn't work because I got the favorable rulings. The problem I'm running into now is finding an attorney because all the attorneys are, white.
Okay, let me ask you a question. The favorable ruling that you got says what? What have they concluded? How is it favorable? What are they saying?
They have violated. They did not. It says that they denied him education for starters. They violated all the COVID guidelines. They refused him PEBT. He didn't get any benefits through COVID, anything. They kicked him out during COVID, but it was after, all the everyday. This is all rolled up. A lot of stipulations that they violated, a lot of guidelines. So after they sent child protection, attorney general, and they just recently sent this in March of this year after the favorable ruling. But they didn't know that I had filed this claim with Minnesota Department of Education. So once they found out and I signed releases and they speak to PACER, everyone closes their case. I'm begging them not to, though. Somebody help me, because like y'all just was coming after me. Y'all wanted to meet with my son. Y'all was willing to come show up at my door and take him. But now you found out that the school district, Minnesota Department of Education, PACER is telling you, yes, they done wrong by your son. Child protection called me like I've spoken to everybody on the release of information, and they all agreed. Department of Education, PACER, everyone. The school did not do right by your son. I recorded this. Yet I cannot find anyone to help me to take this further.
Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do. Number one, we do have to find you an attorney, and that's going to be tough, especially in Minnesota. Especially in Minnesota.
It has to be an education lawyer. I have been looking for over 2 years. It has to be an education lawyer.
Yeah, hear me out. Hear me out. Let me finish this. Let me finish this. Hear me out. Hear me out, Queen. It's tough anywhere to get an educational attorney or a regular attorney. Don't just look for educate. A regular attorney can still consult with an educational attorney. So you just need an attorney who will take the case. But the thing is, lawyers don't like to sue school districts because school districts often offer a lot of opportunities for lawyers down the road. You know, you can be a, contract lawyer for the attorney. You could be for the school district. You could be a litigation attorney for the school district. So lawyers don't like to sue schools because at some point they might want to do work with the school district. So that's number one. So that's going to be tough. Okay, listen to me, Queen, because I got to get ready to go to the next parent. This is what I want you to do. I need you to create a timeline. Okay, it ain't got to be long, but I need a timeline with a quick summary of what happened on whatever date. You could do it by year or you could do it by incident, but I need a summary of your son's situation so I can decide how I can best help you. I need a timeline from 7th grade to the present. That's number one. Yes, from 7th to the present, or you can start before 7th.
He hasn't been in there since 2020.
I got you. I got you. But I need a timeline. I don't care how long he's been there. I need a timeline so I can decide how to help you. Do you feel me?
Yeah, I just was trying to make sure, like, are we doing it up to 2020?
Yes, we doing it up till today. We doing it up till today. Give me everything in the timeline that I need. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I want you to seriously consider. You still got to get a lawyer. You still got to sue because they owe you. But in the meantime, I want you to seriously consider enrolling your son in a GED prep course and having him take his GED so he can get his life on the road.
Well, can I tell you something, though, what I found out while fighting the school district?
What's that?
When you enroll them in another school, that ends your claim against the school.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's not true.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. So I took him out of Brooklyn Center High, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I moved him to another school, which I still got favorable rulings against them because, systematically they all moved, they moved the same. So, but he was already at the behavior school, so I had the same rules on everybody but the school that originally started the DS because I removed him out that school. Now, I can get it through federally, but not through locally state.
That's not true. That is not true. That is not true. Moving a child, that's probably what they told you.
I even got that in writing.
Yeah, they might have told you that, but that's not true. If you take a child out of one school, put them in another school, if that other school did wrong to your child, they can still be sued. Switching the school does not stop your right to hold them accountable for what they did to your son. But this is what we're going to do. Create that timeline. Think about putting him in GED and getting a GED so he can move on to college or trade school or whatever he's going to do. Because we can't have him wait around another 4 years. He's going to end up in jail. Get that boy a GED. That's what I would do. In the meantime, I would be looking for a lawyer to sue. You're probably going to get financial damages for everything they put your son through. Well, remember, when you get me the timeline, I'm going to try to help you find.
That was supposed to be the whole conversation, Dr. Umar. That was my advice. I've gotten the favorable rulings. Now they've retaliated, and I don't know my next step. That's what I'm telling you. I'm still.
I just gave you your next step. Get me the timeline and get that boy in a GED program. He needs a credential so he can move on with the rest of his life. He can't wait around for another year or two until you straighten this out. He can't. He's 17. He's going to be 18 in a minute. You follow me? If it were me, I'll be putting my son in a GED program so his life does not stop. I would not have him sitting around waiting to see how this plays out because he don't have that much time. I would get him a GED so he can decide if he's going to go to college or trade school or real estate school or whatever he's going to do to get his life in order. At 17, he would not be home sitting around waiting for me to figure this out. I would not be waiting on that. I would get that boy a GED so he can move on.
Well, he hadn't been sitting at home. He hadn't just been sitting at home. I had been homeschooling him. So that was the problem he had with me. His mom, like, I'm, homeschooling him.
But if he's 17 years old, how serious is he?
Just been sitting at home.
I understand you, sweetie. But if he's 17 years old, how seriously is he taking his mother's homeschooling program? I don't know too many 17-year-old boys who are going to take their mother's homeschooling program that seriously. Is he taking your homeschooling program seriously at 17 years old?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
He's I would say like 85%. Yes, he absolutely does. Like I said, it's just now you a man. He's at that age and he's at home with me 90% of the time from homeschooling to after that, because all the stuff he went through, he didn't really get to build relationships and bonds, and so that's been us, our problem now. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah. So I'll get the timeline to you, and I guess you say, as I said, they put this in writing, and they didn't give me a favorable ruling for the first school because I removed him. They put this in writing. So you're saying that, yeah, you can, but they're saying, like, and I just got the favorable ruling from them. And
I got you.
The other schools.
I'm with you, Queen. Give me the timeline. I need the timeline because your case is too involved. I need to see it all so I can come up with a strategy on how we can attack this.
Absolutely.
You got me? So once you got that timeline ready,
do I send it to this number, or how am I getting the timeline?
Yeah, you can text me for my email because it's going to be too much for a text message. So text me this number for my email, and then you'll text it. I'll look at it, and we'll talk again.
Okay.
Okay. Stay strong, Queen. Stay strong. Don't stay focused. Your son deserves better, and we're going to do what we can to get him better.
Okay.
All right, love. Appreciate you. All right now.
Have a beautiful morning.
You too, sweetie. All right.
All right.
Black men, we have to stop leaving our women alone and isolated to fight these wars for our boys. Black men, we have to stop leaving our black women alone and isolated to fight these wars for our sons. Black men, we have to stop leaving our women alone to fight the school system for our son. This is unacceptable. And when I say black men, I'm not talking about biological fathers only. I'm not talking about biological fathers only. I'm talking about black men as a unit, black men as a population, the brotherhood, the heterosexual black brotherhood. The heterosexual black brotherhood, the heterosexual black brotherhood has to stop letting these women fight these wars for our sons without us. When I have black parent boot camps, most of the time it's women. Very few fathers care enough to learn how to protect their children. Most black men are comfortable letting the mother fight the power structure by themselves for your son. Too many black men are comfortable letting the mothers fight the educational power structure for your son by herself. We have to stop. I'm tired of seeing these mothers. Why is this woman fighting by herself? Why is these other women fighting by themselves? Black men, we are an embarrassment to the race. We are an embarrassment to our ancestors. We are disorganized. We are selfish. We ain't looking out for the women. We ain't looking out for the children. We ain't looking out for the community. Black men are selfish. And that's the biggest reason why the black community is struggling. Shout out to the brothers who do the damn thing. Shout out to the brothers who do the damn thing. Shout out to the brothers who out there on the front lines. But too many black men are selfish, and they are not looking out for the hood, and they are not looking out for the boys. You professional black men, y'all have been abandoning the black community for generations. Ever since Dr. King died, black men have been running to the white suburb. You judges, you lawyers, you doctors, you business owners, you keep abandoning black boys for a life in the suburbs with white folks. You might have a black wife, but you in the Snow Bunny suburb. You might have a black wife, but you in the Snow Bunny suburb. Stop abandoning the black community. Professional black men have turned their back on black boys. I'm going to say it again. Professional black men have to show me a dentist doing something for black boys. Show me a lawyer doing something for black boys. Show me a business owner doing something for black boys. And I don't want to hear about no football coaching and basketball coaching. I don't want to hear about no football coaching and basketball coaching. I don't want to hear about no football coaching and basketball coaching. And I don't want to hear about no damn choir practice and Bible study. I don't want to hear about no damn choir practice and Bible study. Black men have to do better. Black men have to do better. Black men have to do better.